Aryan Mehta had always walked the line between caution and ambition. At just 29, he had already qualified as a chartered accountant, worked with a Big Four firm, and earned a reputation as a disciplined financial thinker. But numbers alone no longer satisfied him. Partnering with his college friend Riya Nambiar, a gifted engineer with a passion for smart technology, Aryan co-founded Zencorp Innovations Private Limited, a home automation startup aimed at bringing intelligent, voice-controlled systems to Indian homes. Zencorp's flagship product, the ZEN Smart Hub, was a sleek, AI-enabled device that could control appliances, learn family routines, and even alert homeowners about potential hazards. The idea was brilliant. The funding, a generous 8 crore rupees from angel investors, came swiftly. Within 18 months, Zencorp grew from a garage setup to a 40-member team housed in a tech park in Mumbai. As the company scaled up, Aryan, who had taken on the dual role of CFO and head of risk management, began encountering the real-world complexities he had once only read about. It started subtly. A planned 10% hike in import duties on their critical smart sensors, sourced from Taiwan, was implemented 2 months early. This was a risk Aryan had anticipated. He had buffered the budget, renegotiated vendor timelines, and even explored an Indian backup supplier. But then came the blow no model could predict. A massive earthquake struck Taiwan, halting all shipments indefinitely. Unlike risk, this was uncertainty, no data could have forecast it, and no insurance would cover the lost time and trust. Simultaneously, Zencorp was blindsided by the sudden entry of a competitor, Brightwell Technologies, which launched a similar smart hub at almost half the price. Aryan's inbox flooded with refund requests, and the social media team scrambled to respond to online backlash over delays in price comparisons. Aryan convened an emergency meeting to assess the situation. It became clear that Zencorp was caught in a storm of risks, each unique in type, source, and impact. Internally, the development team faced burnout from aggressive deadlines. One of their systems engineers accidentally exposed a software bug that created a vulnerability, putting customer data at risk. These were internal and controllable risks. Externally, the earthquake, sudden political unrest in Taiwan, and Brightwell's aggressive pricing were external and largely uncontrollable. Aryan categorized the product delay and refund backlash under customer satisfaction risks. The pricing challenge is a strategic risk, the data leak as both a reputational and technological risk, and the halted shipments as supply chain and geographical risk. One after another, risks surfaced across categories: a missed safety compliance deadline, legal compliance risk, a former employee joining a competitor with sensitive knowledge risk, and even a forged vendor certificate discovered during a routine procurement audit, fraud risk. Aryan's instincts as a chartered accountant kicked in. To bring structure to the chaos, he created a risk matrix, a tool to organize and analyze different risks. He started categorizing each event by source. Was the risk coming from inside the company, internal, like a software error or staff resignation, or from outside, external, like a natural disaster or competitor's product launch? Nature. Could the company control it? Controllable, like employee training issues, or was it out of their hands, uncontrollable, like government policy changes? Status. Was it an existing risk that was always there, inherent, like reliance on a third-party vendor, or a remaining risk even after controls were applied, residual, like customer perception even after an apology? Impact or consequence. Depending on the outcome of the risk on various aspects or functions of a business, risk can be classified as strategy, operations, financial etc. As Aryan mapped these out, he realized some inherent risks, like software bugs or vendor-related fraud, had always existed in the business setup, but could be reduced through stronger internal controls and checks. However, certain residual risks, such as how the public views the brand after a social media controversy, or the possibility of future natural disruptions, could not be entirely removed. These would require ongoing strategic management, communication, and preparedness rather than a one-time fix. Zencorp's initial risk response was clumsy. Refunds were delayed, the PR team issued a vague statement, and no one from leadership addressed the online backlash directly. learning fast, Arian revised their approach. He developed a multi-layered risk mitigation strategy. Risk avoidance was used in halting an expansion plan into a politically volatile region. Retention was consciously chosen in continuing in-house logistics, despite the risk of delay, for better brand control. Insurance policies were upgraded, effectively transferring risk related to cyber incidents and supply chain failures. Arian also implemented hedging contracts to stabilize foreign exchange losses linked to overseas payments. Risk control efforts followed. They included implementing two-factor authentication for device access, setting up weekly internal risk audits, reassigning overburdened teams, and onboarding a cybersecurity consultant. Arian also mandated quarterly internal audit reviews, something he had once done for clients as an auditor. Staff were retrained on compliance policies. The product certification process was made a mandatory part of the release cycle, but Arian knew that technical solutions alone couldn't build trust. As Zencorp's de facto chief risk officer, he called an all-hands meeting to build a risk-aware culture. Risk is not a department, he told them, it's a mindset. Each of us owns a piece of it. Inspired by this, department heads began contributing actively to risk identification and reporting. Zencorp established a risk management committee, with Arian as its chair, and instituted an internal risk hotline for anonymous red flag reporting. Public sentiment slowly shifted. Arian penned a candid open letter to Zencorp's customers explaining the setbacks, offering refunds, and outlining their plan to do better. He partnered with a respected non-governmental organization to launch a CSR initiative, donating smart hubs to schools in rural areas. Media outlets, which had once roasted them, now began showcasing their turnaround. Within 6 months, Zencorp was back in the race. The startup diversified its supplier base, restructured pricing models, and released a robust product update. A new investor, impressed by their mature risk framework, infused additional capital into the business. Arian, now not just a co-founder but also a certified risk management strategist, was invited to speak at a national startup summit on building risk-resilient businesses. Zencorp's journey reflects the complete spectrum of risk management, from defining and classifying risks, managing inherent and residual threats, applying mitigation techniques, and building a control culture, to showcasing the strategic role of a chartered accountant in risk governance. Arian's transformation, from auditor to strategist, exemplifies how chartered accountants today must move beyond compliance and into leadership roles within enterprise risk management.